Hi everybody, it is Trixie. I just I don't even know what's going on with my hair right now. But so in my last video, I don't even remember, which is weird because I just recorded it like a few seconds ago. But my last video I went through and I was talking about backstabbers. And this video, I think we're gonna do the 4th episode of History with Trixie, and I'm gonna actually try and make it 10 minutes instead of the normal long one. And then it's probably gonna end up being 2 more episodes of History with Trixie because I really don't have that much more to say. My expertise goes as far as Tudor England and ancient Egypt. Those are as good as I can get. Anyway, so in the last History with Trixie, we talked about Henry VII and his wife and his kids. So we're going to go through, and in this one, we are going to talk about Edward the Sixth, Mary the First, and Elizabeth I. I think I'm actually getting the last 2 I know are actually correct. I know that for a fact, but I don't remember what number of Edward Henry VIII's son was. I can't remember for the life of me, and I'd go through and I'd look it up, but I did that way too much in the last video. So I'm just going to go through and call him Edward Tudor. We're going to call him Edward Tudor, okay? Or we're just going to call him Edward because that's who we're talking about. Okay, so after Henry VIII died in 1545-ish, maybe, I don't know, but after Henry VIII died, Edward became king. Now, Edward was still a kid, and so he couldn't rule on his own. And basically, what had all happened was, he had Lord Protectors, which was his uncles, or his uncle, and then he had, basically the country was being run while he was still a kid. And that actually worked out great for a while, until I think it was Edward Seymour. Yeah, Edward Seymour was like, oh, nope, we're gonna go through and we're gonna try and overrun our power here. So basically everything just got fucked up after a while. And then, you know, Edward, like a few months before Edward had died, Edward was like really, really sick, and so he's like, okay, well, I can't let Mary become queen because she's a Catholic. And Elizabeth has too much pride to go through and be like, oh, hey, I guess I'll be queen. Like, she has too much pride to do that, so I can't let her be queen. And so he and a bunch of all of his other advisors were like, okay, well, we have a ton of other people, or we have 2 other people to choose from. And that was his, Mary Queen of Scots, his cousin, and then Frances Grey and her daughters, Jane and Catherine. It's either it's Jane, Catherine, or Mary. I can't fully remember. But, oh shit. But his issue was the fact that all of the possible heirs were all female. And he didn't really have the time to wait for an heir to be produced. So, since Mary Queen of Scots was Catholic, they went through and he's like, okay, well, let's just go with Frances Grey. We have no other choice. Frances Grey was way, 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 way too old And so she's like, oh, well, no, I can't become queen, but, choose one of my daughters instead. So Edward was like, okay, fine. So he went through and he named Jane Grey as his successor. Now, at first, he had written, I can't remember what, but he had written, any male heirs from the Lady Jane Grey, and then he went through and he rewrote it saying the Lady Jane Grey and her heirs male. Now, basically that came to the whole conclusion that, okay, Jane Grey is going to be queen after I pass away. No arguing with it, none whatsoever. And so Edward passes away and Jane becomes kind of queen. She goes to the tower for her coronation. Everything's all hunky-dory. And then Mary I goes through and gets an army, marches into London, takes over the tower, and then Jane Grey and her husband become the prisoners. And Mary is named the rightful queen. Now, Mary was really, really hesitant to go through and sign Jane's death warrant because she knew that she was just following her father and father-in-law's orders. Because back then, women didn't have their own say. Women couldn't do what they wanted to do. It was a male-dominated country. Every decision was made by a man. Sad, but it's true. And it finally took some persuading before Mary was like, okay, I'll go through and I'll sign her death warrant. But she still gave Jane one more chance to go through and convert to Catholicism. She didn't do it, and so Jane Grey ends up being beheaded. This is not going to make 10 minutes. It's probably going to make like 12. I'm trying so hard to make 10 minutes. Probably not. So Mary goes through and marries her cousin, Philip of Spain. And everything is all good. She's really, really in love with him. Of course, he's kind of meh on the whole marriage. But he does it because it's a political alliance and you can't really choose. But back then, you didn't really get to choose who you were married unless you were Henry VIII. But, so all that happens, she gets married, everything's good, and then I think it was either a year or two later, and she's like, okay, well, we're gonna have a baby. We're gonna have the long-awaited heir, and everyone's all excited. Everything's going great, and she goes into her confinement, and months pass, and there's no news of any baby. And it, then it goes months and months and months. And when Mary finally, emerges from her confinement, she just ignores the whole topic. Like, completely ignores the topic. And it gets to be then that Philip's like, okay, you know what, I gotta go back to Spain, I'm ruler there. I can't spend all my time here. And so she didn't want him to go, but that's just what happened. So that all takes place. And, it's it's like a year. I don't know how long it was, but Philip ends up coming back. And it's only for a little bit. And then he goes through and he ends up leaving again. And then Mary's all like, oh, hey, or she waits a bit, and then she goes through and she's like, oh, well, I'm really far along in my pregnancy, and I waited so long this time because I wanted to make sure that that this was an actual baby. So she goes into her confinement again, and when she emerges months later, again, she just ignores the whole topic of a baby. And many people believe that she may have had ovarian cancer or a tumor. So after that whole charade happens, I don't really know when the whole Bloody Mary thing came into play. I really don't. I have no idea when. Like, normally I'm good, but I can't remember. So, basically, the reason why that nickname got stuck on her was she was so into reforming England back into the Catholic faith that she would burn Protestants at the stake. And it was men, women, children, pregnant women even. There's one story that one woman was so far pregnant that just the fires alone made her give birth to the baby, and the baby was thrown on the fire too, or the baby was kept on the fire. Now, I don't believe that story, but I mean, it would kind of make sense if. So all that happens, and then Mary's all like, okay, I'm scared to name Elizabeth my heir, because she's just going to go through and change everything that I've tried to do. She's going to. I know she is, because we're so different in our religions, she's just going to fucking do it. And, well, she didn't, I'm using modern terms, but she probably really didn't say that. But, you know, all that happens, and finally, Mary's like, okay, fine, Elizabeth can be heir only if she promises, and then Elizabeth's like, hey, I can't do that. Sorry, but I can't do that. And Mary dies. And Elizabeth becomes queen. Elizabeth I. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit of the early reign in this video, and then I'll get on to more about Elizabeth I in the next one. And then the next video after that, I think, is going to be the last Ancient Egypt video. I haven't really fully decided yet. But, so Elizabeth's early reign was filled with basically a lot of shit. Because, you know, it was the whole question of when is she going to get married? When is she going to get married? When are we going to get an heir? And yada, yada, yada. And it never happened. She never got married. She never had, well, yeah. But she never got married. So, the early parts of her reign was full of so much crap that I can't explain all of it. All of her reign was filled with so much stuff. But the key points were, you know, they were pressuring her to get married, and she's like, no. Who is queen? Who is the ruler of this country? You cannot tell me what to do. I am not going to get married. And she never did. And, you know, then it was, she had a fuckload of suitors, but it never really stuck. She had a favorite named Robert Dudley, who was Lady Jane Grey's brother-in-law, if you'll believe that. And, you know, there were rumors saying that her and Robert Dudley may have even had a child together. Now, will we ever know? No, because back then, hiding a baby was somewhat easy. Because there's even rumors that her and Thomas Seymour had a baby together. We will never fully know what all happened there, but that's just where it all is. Like, Henry VIII's 3 children, their reigns were, like, Mary and Edward's were so short, but there were so many details in it. And then, you know, Elizabeth, she reigned until 1603. So, she had a fuckload go on in her reign. So, a lot happened. A lot had happened. And what sucked is Elizabeth was the last Tudor ruler. And my thing is, like, I sometimes do kind of wonder what would happen, what would have happened if Edward hadn't died and he had had kids, or if Mary had been able to have kids, or if Elizabeth would have actually gotten married and had kids. You know, some people always wonder that. Like, it just makes sense to me. Like, why just leave it like that? You know, you can always wonder what would have happened. Like, history would have kind of been the same, but, you know, we wouldn't have had the Stuarts, or the Hanovers, or the Windsors. We wouldn't even have Queen Elizabeth II right now. And then we wouldn't have had, Prince William and Prince Henry, and then we wouldn't have had William, Mary Kate, and then we wouldn't have had Prince George or Princess Charlotte. Like, a lot of shit could have happened. A lot of shit could have happened. But in the next video, I will go through and I will try to dive into Elizabeth I's reign as much as I can. You are amazing, you are smart, you are beautiful, you're talented. Don't let anybody tell you any different. I will see all you guys in the next video. I hope you have a good Monday. And don't let Monday get you down, okay? Bye!